Whose car is that? My dad barked as he stepped out of his truck, shielding his eyes from the sun. His voice carried that same familiar tone, half disbelief, half irritation. The black Range Rover gleamed in the driveway of the massive white farmhouse that sat on the hill, his dream house. The one he'd pointed at every time we drove by, saying, "That's the kind of place people like us never get." Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. I leaned against the hood, keys in my hand, pretending not to notice him. "Lena," he called again, slower this time. "What are you doing here?" Behind him, my brother, Dylan, let out a laugh that made my stomach tighten. "Don't tell me she's here for the open house," he said. "You can't even pay your rent, Lena. What's the plan? Take a few selfies and pretend you live here?" The real estate agent glanced at me, awkwardly smiling. She knew the truth. But I wasn't ready to say it, not yet. I pushed off the hood and walked toward them, heels clicking on the stone path. "Nice to see you too," I said, forcing a smile. "Didn't think you'd make it." Dad squinted at me. "We've been following this property for years. It just went up for sale. Your brother found the listing. Why are you even here?" "Maybe I just wanted to see it," I said casually. Dylan snorted. "You? This house is $3 million, Lena. You can barely keep your car from breaking down." I looked at him, same smirk, same arrogance that used to make me feel small. But not anymore. "Come on," Dad said, patting his shoulder. "Let's not waste time." The agent's showing the kitchen. He turned to me. "You can tag along, but don't touch anything, all right?" I bit the inside of my cheek. Don't touch anything. That used to be the rule when I was a kid. Don't touch, don't ask, don't dream too big. Fine. Let them walk in first. Let them admire it. Let them believe it still belonged to someone else. The front door swung open, revealing sunlight pouring through tall windows. Dylan whistled. "Man, this is insane. Look at those marble counters. Imagine waking up here every morning." Dad nodded, running his fingers across the counter. "This is what success looks like," he said. "Not that computer nonsense you waste time on." My jaw tightened, but I stayed quiet. He turned to me suddenly. "You'd understand if you worked a real job, Lena. Not that freelance garbage you do." The real estate agent glanced nervously between us. "Mr. Collins," she began. "Actually, not now." Dad cut her off, waving her quiet. "Come on, show us the master bedroom." I watched him stride through the living room, through my living room, like he owned the place. The same man who'd told me I'd never make it without him. Dylan trailed behind, phone out, filming a video for social media. "Just imagine, Dad," he said. "This could be ours one day." I smiled. "One day," he said. My hand brushed against the keys in my pocket. Cool metal, heavy real. They hadn't noticed the small sold tag hanging from the front sign outside. Not yet. But they would. And when they did, I wanted to see the look in their eyes. The air inside the house felt heavier now, almost charged, like the moment right before a storm breaks. Dad's voice filled every corner. "Now this," he said, gesturing around, "this is real craftsmanship. Not the cheap apartments people waste money on." Dylan followed, phone in hand, recording the stairway. "Man, I can already see my future here," he said. "Maybe when I hit my bonus this year." "Your future?" I interrupted, smiling faintly. "Interesting." He frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," I said, walking past them toward the kitchen. My heels echoed against the polished floor, each step a heartbeat. The smell of new wood and paint mixed with memories I didn't want to remember. Nights in cramped rooms, calls from bill collectors, Dad's voice telling me I was throwing away my life on a fantasy. Now that same voice was complimenting my house. The real estate agent cleared her throat softly behind me. "Miss Collins, do you want me to?" I raised a finger subtly. "Not yet," I whispered. She nodded, biting back a grin. She knew what was coming. In the living room, Dad's hand slid over the fireplace mantel. "Feels solid," he said proudly, as if his opinion meant something. You just don't get builds like this anymore. I leaned against the wall, watching him trace the same pattern I'd studied in photos months ago before signing the final offer. You love this house, don't you? I asked. He laughed. Who wouldn't? It's perfection. A bit too high-end for us, but a man can dream. That word, dream, hit me like a match to gasoline. I remembered exactly what he'd said when I told him about my first business idea. Stop dreaming, Lena. You'll never afford a place like that. Dylan walked up beside him. Imagine Christmas here, Dad. We'd finally have room for everyone. I couldn't stop the small smile creeping onto my face. Yeah, I murmured. Plenty of room. He glanced at me. You sound weird. What's going on? Nothing, I said. Just thinking how fast things change. He rolled his eyes. Still speaking in riddles. You always did that when you were broke. I took a deep breath. Keep it together. Not yet. They climbed the stairs, marveling at the master suite. The sun poured through the wide glass windows, catching Dad's silver hair. You could see the whole valley from here, he said, awe in his voice. That view's worth every penny, Dylan added. Whoever bought this must be rolling in money. Yeah, Dad said, chuckling. Probably someone who didn't waste their 20s chasing art degrees. I laughed, quiet but sharp. You're right, Dad. Probably someone who just worked hard, quietly. He turned. Why are you smiling like that? Before I could answer, the real estate agent appeared in the doorway. Excuse me, she said politely. Mr. and Mr. Collins, thank you for visiting, but the new owner just arrived, and she requested some privacy. Dad straightened. Owner? We haven't even finished the tour. The agent gave me a glance, my cue. Actually, I said, stepping forward. You already have. They stared at me. Dylan blinked first. What do you mean? I held up the keys, letting them dangle between my fingers. The metallic jingle cut through the silence. Dad's face went pale. You're joking. I smiled. Welcome to my home. For a moment, nobody spoke. Only the faint hum of the air conditioner filled the room. You bought this? Dylan finally choked out. Closed last week, I said. Paid in full. Dad's jaw twitched. How? Where did you get that kind of money? By not listening to you, I said softly. By believing in the same dreams you called foolish. He shook his head. That's impossible. Impossible, I repeated, stepping closer, like when you said I'd never make it? When you told me to stop embarrassing the family with my ideas. When you laughed because I worked from a broken laptop at the kitchen table. Dylan stammered. You were always broke. I was building something. I cut in. While you two mocked me, I was building clients. Then a business. Then a company. And now this. I gestured around. Every inch of this place came from the years you didn't believe in me. Dad looked at the floor, his voice a whisper. I was just trying to protect you from disappointment. By becoming the disappointment yourself? I asked quietly. The words hung heavy in the air. He looked older now, smaller even. Lena. I shook my head. Don't. You wanted me to give up and I didn't. That's all you need to know. Dylan shoved his hands in his pockets, trying to recover his pride. So what now? You want us to beg or something? No, I said, turning toward the balcony door. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to see what happens when you stop asking for permission to live. Sunlight poured over me as I opened the door, the valley stretching wide and golden below. The same view Dad had worshipped for years. Behind me, silence. Then Dad whispered, almost to himself, all this time, I thought she was lost. I turned back, meeting his eyes. You thought wrong. And with that, I stepped outside, leaving them standing in the house they said I'd never own. Dad stood frozen near the balcony door, his eyes flicking between me and the breathtaking view outside. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Dylan's phone, which he'd been clutching to record his dream home tour, hung uselessly at his side. The color in his face drained completely. I leaned against the railing, letting the late afternoon sun brush across my skin. For a moment, none of us spoke. The quiet wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, trembling with the weight of years they'd never bothered to understand. Finally, Dad broke the silence. You really own this place? Yes, I said. Every inch of it. He exhaled like the wind had been knocked out of him. But, Lena, how? You used to call me crying about rent. I turned toward him, a small, almost sad smile curving my lips.
Yeah.
And you used to hang up before I finished the sentence. His eyes darted away. I wasn't asking for help, I said quietly. I just needed someone to believe I could make it. But you didn't. Dylan scoffed from behind him. Oh, come on. You can't blame us for not expecting this. You literally flunked out of business school, remember? I laughed softly. You mean when I left because I couldn't afford tuition anymore? Yeah, I remember. I worked nights, coded websites during the day, and saved every dollar until I could start my own thing. Dad blinked. What thing? My company, I said. Brooks Digital. We design software and creative branding for businesses across the country. I just landed a national contract 3 months ago. The disbelief in his eyes was almost painful to watch. Brooks Digital, he repeated slowly. I've seen that name on billboards. I nodded. That's me. Dylan's jaw tightened. You're lying. Check it, I said, shrugging. You'll find my face on the website. He pulled out his phone, tapping furiously. His expression changed when the page loaded. Shock, then frustration, then silence. No way, he muttered. Dad rubbed a hand over his face, struggling to process. All this time, you were building that. All this time, I said, you were telling me I couldn't. The real estate agent stepped forward gently. Miss Brooks, the paperwork for the furniture delivery just came in. Should I confirm for tomorrow morning? Dad's head snapped toward her. Furniture delivery? Yes, she said with a polite smile. Miss Brooks bought the home fully, but the interior is being customized. I nodded. Thanks, Claire. I'll sign after they leave. When the door closed behind her, I turned to face them fully.
So, Dad.
You said people like us could never afford this. Guess you were half right, you couldn't, but I did. His face reddened. That's not fair. You have no idea how hard I worked to keep food on the table for you and your brother. I do, I said firmly. And I'm grateful for that. But somewhere along the line, you stopped working for your dreams and started killing mine. He blinked. When I told you I wanted to design, you laughed. When I said I wanted to run a company, you said, stick to something realistic. Every time I tried to show you progress, you told me I was wasting time. And the day I finally decided to prove you wrong, I paused, my throat tightening. You called me selfish. He lowered his head. I didn't mean. You meant every word, I said softly. And that's okay, because without it, I wouldn't be here. Dylan folded his arms. So, what now? You're just gonna stand there and lecture us like some motivational speaker? I turned my gaze to him, calm but steady.
No.
I don't need you to understand. I just need you to see me for once. He rolled his eyes, muttering, still dramatic as ever. I smiled faintly. You used to call that weakness. Turns out, it's what made me unstoppable. Dad walked to the window, staring out at the long driveway that curved past the tall oak trees. His voice was lower now, almost tired. You know, I never wanted to hurt you, Lena. I just didn't want you to fail. I did fail, I said. Over and over. But you only saw the failures. You never saw me stand back up. He turned, eyes glistening. I didn't know how to help you. You didn't have to, I said. You just had to believe in me when no one else did. He nodded slowly, almost to himself. I was wrong. Yeah, I said quietly. You were. Dylan finally spoke up again, his tone bitter.
So, what?
You expect us to clap for you now. Congratulations, you've got a house and some money. That doesn't make you better than us. I stepped forward, close enough that he could see the calm in my face. I never said I was better. I just stopped letting your opinions define my worth. His lips tightened, but he didn't answer. I turned back to Dad, my voice softer. You know what the hardest part was? Not the struggle, not the sleepless nights. It was knowing that the people I loved most couldn't be proud of me until there was proof. Dad swallowed hard. You have it now. I didn't need it for me, I said, but maybe you did. Outside, the wind picked up, rustling through the tall grass beyond the fence. I took one last look at them. Two men who'd once made me feel invisible, now standing speechless in the home they said I'd never touch. This house isn't just mine, I said finally. It's every no you ever gave me turned into a yes. Every door you shut that I built another way through. I dropped the keys into my palm and smiled faintly. So no, Dad. I'm not dreaming anymore. I'm wide awake. Their silence said everything. And for the first time in my life, I didn't need their approval. I already had my own. The sun dipped low, casting a golden glow across the front porch as I walked them out. Dad and Dylan trailed behind, silent now. No jokes, no arrogance, just the sound of their shoes on the gravel driveway. The same path they once told me I'd never walk with pride. Dad stopped near the gate, turning one last time to face the house. You really did it, he whispered. You actually did it. I nodded, clutching the keys loosely in my hand. Yeah, I did. He rubbed the back of his neck, his voice rough. I said things I shouldn't have, Lena. Things I thought would toughen you up. But all they did was push you away. It's okay, I said quietly. Maybe I needed the push. Dylan huffed beside him, trying to keep his pride intact. You're lucky, that's all. Right place, right time. I looked at him, smiling faintly. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, Dylan. You were too busy laughing to notice me preparing. He looked away, jaw tightening. Dad sighed, eyes heavy with guilt. I should have been proud of you sooner. For a moment, the anger that had lived in my chest for years started to fade. You don't owe me an apology, I said. You just needed to see that your version of success wasn't the only one that mattered. He nodded slowly, his voice cracking. I see that now. The silence between us wasn't hostile anymore. It was understanding. Fragile, but real. When their truck finally disappeared down the road, I stood alone in the long driveway, staring at the sunset painting the sky in streaks of orange and pink. The same sky I'd watched 1,000 times from the tiny window of my old apartment, wondering if I'd ever make it out. And now, here I was, holding proof that I did. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like peace. I walked back inside, the floors creaking softly beneath my steps. The house was quiet now, but it didn't feel empty. Every wall carried a story. The late nights, the failed contracts, the silent meals where I promised myself I'd never give up. I set the keys on the marble counter, running my hand across the smooth surface. This is what believing in yourself looks like, I thought. Not revenge. Not proving them wrong. Just finally proving myself right. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Dad. Dad, I'm sorry for everything. I'm proud of you. Always should have been. For a long time, I just stared at the screen. Then, slowly, a tear slid down my cheek. Soft, quiet, not from pain this time, but from release. I typed back. Me. Thank you, Dad. That means more than you know. I set the phone down, stepped outside again, and leaned on the porch railing. The air smelled like fresh grass and new beginnings. Somewhere far off, a neighbor's dog barked. A breeze rustled through the trees. The world felt still, and for the first time, I wasn't running, chasing, or fighting. I was just here. I whispered to the fading light. You told me to stop dreaming. So, I turned my dreams into plans. And with that, I smiled, calm, steady, whole. Because success wasn't about the house. It was about this moment. The silence after the storm. The peace after the noise. I'd built my life from their doubt, and it was beautiful.